Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for stopping by and thank you for your support. I greatly appreciate all the support I've been getting. Thank you very much. I just wanted to let you know for this tutorial, I'm doing a uniquely traditional um, theme here. I'm going to be doing a seasonal fall and winter theme and not holiday. Holiday was my husband, he was huge on the holidays. He's no longer with me, so I'm not feeling the holidays this year at all. So I'm going to show you how I'm decorating for fall and winter. So I'm taking this basket starting off and doing a gathering basket. And so I'm going to take some craft paper that I have, and I'm only using items that I have on hand. And I'm taking this craft paper, wrapping it around the oval basket, and I'm going to take and start with jute. Now, jute I already had. Now, this jute had gotten so tangled, I decided to cut it in pieces. So I have a bunch of pieces of this jute, and I'm going to be using this to make this basket. So I'm going to turn the basket over so I can make sure that first row is perfectly even, because it needs to be even for the rest of the basket to come out evenly. And then I turn it back over, and I'm going to go ahead and start on my second row and keep going. And as you can see, as I stated, there are the jute is in pieces. So I'm ending a piece, and then I'll start the piece right where I ended. The next piece right where I ended the last piece. I'll just add a little bit of hot glue to the tip, as well as the paper, and go on around and continue the process. And I want to make it look like one piece and not a bunch of different pieces. So I'm very careful and mindful of making sure I put plenty of glue on the tip, but not too much where it looks like a glob of glues. And I keep going on around, starting each piece off, ending each piece, and starting the next piece. And as I'm putting the glue on, I'm making sure that the glue is attached. Is on the paper as well as a little bit on the bottom row, so that when I add the next row, it will adhere very well and with no gaps. So I'm going to continue that process all the way around. And as you see, I sped it out so that you don't have to sit here and watch a slow process. And I could have cut all this out, but I didn't want you to see it coming together. I kind of like the idea of it coming together and seeing how it comes together and how well it comes together. Or how badly, if it comes together badly, but thank God this came together well. And I keep going on around, starting, ending, starting, next piece. I think each piece was about 2 yards long that I cut, approximately. So I keep going on around until I get to the very last piece. And so I'm going to add glue, and add this last piece. And then I cut off that excess. Now, what I don't show you, and I leave this out of the video, not purposefully, but I take the basket out, as you see, and I'm cutting off any excess of the paper. Now, you can use jute on the inside as well. I just chose not to because my basket's going to be sturdy enough. I don't worry about it. But what I don't show you at the next level is where I add epoxy resin and paint it on to help make the basket more sturdy, and it worked perfectly. So all I do is paint on some epoxy resin, an old paintbrush. But here is wallpaper that I'm using, very sturdy wallpaper, waterproof, and I'm just adding that. As you can see, I just traced the basket out, and this is going to be added down to the middle because I'm going to add epoxy resin on top, and I'm going to make sure that it doesn't soak through my paper and my basket. So this helps to keep it from soaking through. So I just add some glue, add that on. I'm going to add the epoxy resin as I stated. And while I'm letting that epoxy resin dry, the epoxy resin that I paint on the outside. While I'm letting that dry, I'm going to start on my handle. So I had this this what you call it, circled, steel circle, steel round piece, whatever you want to call it, and I am adding my jute. Now I'm making sure that I hold that first piece down until it dries, because I want to make sure this is very sturdy. And I add a little bit to the second and third maybe row twines as you go around. And I'm going to make sure again the first section and the last section of each piece of this jute adheres very well to this steel, so that it won't unwrap or unravel and come apart. Because this is my gathering basket. This is basket I'll be adding my florals and stuff to, and I want to make sure it's very sturdy. So I'm going to keep going around, and as you see, I speed it up so that you don't have to watch the process slowly. But I'm not going to show the entire process. I just want to kind of see that you get an idea of how I'm doing this. Although it's simple, I'm sure you don't probably need to see all this. And I'm just, again, adding the last piece that ends to the first piece of the next piece of jute. And I'm holding it down to make sure that it adheres very well. So I'm going on around, keep going around, and keep going around. And as you can see, I'm just being as quick at the process as possible so that you don't have to sit here through the whole thing. I'm going to show you how I, again, put glue, a nice amount. Be careful because it is hot. Hot glue is hot, especially if you have a hot gun. Now, the last gun I had was a little teeny gun, and it didn't get hot enough to really burn me, but I still say be very careful because hot glue gets very hot and it will burn. If I was this fast, I'm gonna tell you what, I would be a miracle worker if I could work that fast. But anyway, here I'm ending it now, and here I'm putting it in. Like I said, I've added 8 ounces of epoxy resin down in here, and now I'm adding the ring down in there as well, and the epoxy resin will adhere the ring. And it does very well. I have to say it does excellent job because it's immovable. I tried bending it, turning it after it cured, nothing. If anything, it's going to tear up the basket first before it tears up, before the ring comes out. So I was so pleased with this. Now, of course, you can see the bottom of the ring, but because this is a gathering basket, I don't care about that. But as you can see, it turned out pretty well. I like the way it turned out. So my next is a very simple DIY. I'm staining, so I'm adding water to white paint that I already had, adding a nice amount of water, but not too much where it won't adhere to the pine cones. And these are some of my larger pine cones. I'm doing those first, and then I have some smaller pine cones that I end up staining as well. So these are very large pine cones. These were given to me, and so I was so grateful to get them, a huge trash bag full. So these are the larger pine cones, and I also I put these aside and do the smaller ones, as you can see here. These are the smaller ones. And then I take some brown paint and make a tan color, and I paint the other half tan. So I have half white, half tan, and now I'm going to basket them. So here I'm just using some pine needles, pieces, whatever you call them, and I'm adding those to the basket as well as some pine cones. I'm going to add some white, some tan, some white, tan, more pine cones, more pine. Just mix it all up here until I get the desired look that I want. Or my desired look, I should say. I enjoy doing this. even though it's very simple, I enjoy doing it. I just enjoy seeing how it's going to come out. And this is my ending result, or my end result. That was a very simple DIY. Now, it did take 24 hours to dry. The pine cones did take just maybe a little more than 24 hours to dry because I use water, and water on wood, well, that's what happens. And I try not to use too much because they open up and they get, misformed if you add too much water. So I was very mindful of that. But this is what I got. It's a safer way than using bleach and other options. So I prefer to stain them this way.
I wish. Thank you, though. I appreciate the compliment. I wish. Thank you, though. I appreciate the compliment.
So for my next design, I'm taking tumbling blocks, and I'm going to make a simple, I guess you can call it gift box. You can call it storage box, whatever you choose. I like to call them gift box because I would use this as a gift box because you cannot buy a gift box for less than $1, and these are only less than $1. Now they're small. If you make a larger one and still be less than $1, I'm sorry, that's not true. I'm told that everything's $1.25 at the Dollar Tree. Okay, I haven't been there so long. I can't tell you that, but I do know when I purchased these, they were $1. I purchased a case of them from the DollarTree.com many years ago, and so I'm putting 3 together. So I'm just using wood glue, and I'm putting 3 together. So I'm going to need 3, 6, 9, 12 for the bottom, 12 for the top, and then 12 on the sides. And then I'm going to need 2 for sets of 2 sets of 2. So I need 12 sets of 3 and 2 sets of 2, and then I'm going to need a few extras for some of the embellishments on the box itself. So here I'm putting them together. You can choose to change the design, put one way and the other way, or you can put them all in one way. That's your choice and however you choose to do it. But I decided to put one way, the other, the next one the other way, so that it'd be a nice little design. Although you won't be able to see it, it's still just the idea in my head, knowing it's that way. I like that. So here I'm going to add 2 sets of 3 to one side, and then a set of 3 plus a set of 2 to the other side, and follow that pattern around. So I'll be using 5 on one side, 5 on the opposite side of that, and then 6 on each other sides. So we got a square box. So here I'm doing the lid again. 4 sets of 3. Put those together. And I use my hands because it's just so much easier to use my hands than try to take the little spout, whatever you call it, and push it out. It's just time consuming. This is so much quicker. And so I'm putting them together. Now I'm adding wood filler to fill in any large gaps. I don't worry about the smaller gaps, but the larger gaps, I do want to fill those in. And I just sand that down, and then I give it a stain, a leather brown stain. You can stain it whatever you want. You can paint it whatever color you want. You can paint this white, red, pink, purple, but I choose to stain it. I want to keep a rustic look with it. And so this is a leather brown stain. And so I'm just adding that to my box here. And I'm trying to stay along the direction of the grain. Now here I have blue, and I'm going to take this blue chalk paint and add this to it. But I'm also going to take a rag and wipe it off because I want to keep this rustic looking. So that's the finished look after it's dried. And now I had thought about a handle. I wasn't sure what to do about a handle, and then it came to me hours later. Just use your wood block. And so I'm going to use a wood block as a handle. If I had thought of it sooner, I would have had this done, and I would have painted it and been done with it all at once, but I did not think of it. So here we go. And now, because I hate to measure, I'm just taking one wood block, putting it on the very edge. Then I'm taking a second wood block, and I'm adding the hot glue to that and putting it right behind it. And that keeps me from having to measure exactly where to put the inside pieces that are going to keep my lid on the box. So this again keeps me from measuring. Very simple, very easy to do. And so this is quick fix, and of course stain that the same color as the rest. I'm going to keep the inside of the box though brown. I'm not going to paint that. So here's my finished box, and some extra additions here. And I'm very pleased with this. This can be a storage box. This can be you can use it as a gift box. I mean, for less than $1, you can't beat it, because you cannot find gift for less than $1. So for my next DIY, it's a very simple DIY. I'm doing pillows, and I've already stuffed them. I see the need because I'm sure you've seen it. But these, I didn't create these. I have created my own pillowcases in the past, but these I had, so I figured I'd use them. They're perfect for the fall and winter, perfect for summer and spring actually too. But I'm adding some khaki ribbon around. I'm sure you've seen this. Give it a nice body look. And I'm just adding some hot glue to the edge. And I'm just taking this button, adding to the middle. Very simple DIY. Again, already added the stuffing. I just use old pillow. All I do is soak the stuffing from the old pillow in some water and laundry detergent. And then I take them out, let them dry, and perfect stuffing. And so here I just did both of them already done, and how simple is that? Less than what, a few minutes, you can have a wonderful look for your sofa, your couch, whatever you choose to call it. And I'm sure you've seen this probably DIY done before. It was very simple. They have really fancy ones, but because I'm rustic and I like simple and simplistic in most cases, when it comes to certain things, there you go. Now, this DIY is inspired from a lady who did these on Pinterest. Now, I have decorated my pumpkins before with florals and all, but I never did it this specific way, and I fell in love with this. So I'm taking these old pumpkins. As you see, I had already decorated these 1,000 times, so this is probably going to be the final decoration for these, because I'm going to be actually cutting these. So I'm speeding this up. I'm adding sage paint to old pumpkins. Now I've had these pumpkins probably 15 years or more, so they're old and they've been reused over and over again. Now I'm taking sage paint. After I paint, I'm taking and I added a bunch of water to some sage paint, and I'm actually staining my florals sage. Not all of them. I do want a little bit of different color to them, but I'm going to keep it pretty basic. So I'm just adding some different foliage and florals. I'm adding the sage stain, just dipping it down in the stain. So all I did was take some sage paint that I already had. And this was old paint. It had not really dried up, but it was hard. And I took and added a bunch of water and was able to loosen it, and added more water for stain. And so I got a nice bowl of good sage stain here. And so I'm taking the pumpkin now, and I can't remember, I think I purchased these from Target. You got like a huge bag full, seems like as time goes, you get less for, and you still pay more money. But at the time I purchased these, I remember them being so cheap, and I got so many of them. So I got a ton of pumpkins, and so this project was perfect for this. And so this is the part that I saw on Pinterest. She had cut part of she had cut the top off of the pumpkin, and so I saw that, and I fell in love with that idea. Now, I don't know what she did. I just saw it. I didn't see the actual technique, so I just created my own technique on how to do this. And so I cut the lid off. Now I'm taking and I'm coloring or staining the inside where all the little pieces of foam are. I use a serrated knife. I should have said that. I use a serrated knife so I can get a clean cut. And now I'm just staining the inside. Now you can keep it white. It doesn't have to be stained. I just choose to do this because I want the overall sage look. I don't want to look down in the pumpkin and see any white at all. So I'm doing the lid the same way. Now whether she gutted the lid or not, I can't tell you because I didn't see a tutorial. I just saw the actual picture of the pumpkin with the lid sitting on top and fell in love with it. So I decided I wanted to do that. So I'm speeding it up, and I'm adding my floors because they've already dried. I've given them time to dry, and so now I'm just adding my floors. Now some of these were already in like a sage color, so I was grateful for that. But a lot of the foliage and pieces had to be stained. So I'm just adding those pieces. Now I'm not making this permanent because I want to be able to take those pieces out and reuse them, and maybe do something different with the pumpkin later. But so I would, if I was going to sell this, I would add hot glue and make sure that the foliage and the flowers would not come out. But these are for me, so. So I'm also going to just stain some more because I'm going to have some ready. Since I already have it, I'm going to have some ready because I'm going to actually be doing another pumpkin. But I'm not going to show you that process because it's the same process. But a little bit larger pumpkin that I'm going to display as well. And sage is my favorite color, so I do like working with sage a lot when it comes to a small decor pieces. I like working with sage. Now I like to add other colors to it as well, but I do love sage. So here I'm taking the lid and a piece of greenery from some of the other florals, and I'm first adding the stem, which was already painted gold, so I'm going to leave that gold. And I'm adding the stem with a little bit of hot glue because I do want to make that permanent. And this, of course, after it all has dried. And I'm taking this stem, and I added it onto, I'm talking the piece of greenery, and added it onto the stem. And I'm going to take some hot glue and adhere that onto the lid of the pumpkin because it won't stay otherwise. And then I'm going to make sure that sticks in there and add some hot glue to the very edge, bottom, and then I'm going to stick that down in there. And yes, I fell in love with this after I put this up for display. I fell in love with it. Now, there's no one coming in and out of my home. I have one lady who I associate with. She's a neighbor. She's an awesome neighbor. And she stepped in and she saw these and fell in love with them. I am in love with these. I really, really love these. So I'm so grateful to have seen them and so grateful to be able to duplicate them. And I wish I knew the lady who did them, but I just saw a picture of them and fell immediately in love and knew I wanted to do them. So this is how they look after. And I do appreciate you stopping by. Thank you so much. This is my last design for this tutorial, and I appreciate you more than you know. I hope you were inspired somehow. I'm going to continue to do these videos. I'm going to continue to do shorts. I'm going to continue to create and come up with ideas. I have so many ideas that I've written down. I'm going to be putting those to work. So keep coming back because I love creating. So thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you. And God bless you all. Happy holidays. I'll continue to see you. And I'll see you next time. So goodbye for now.